Along the northwest Syrian border, families, many of them for years, living in tents and other makeshift structures.
Imagine living in a world constantly under threat, where the security of home can vanish in an instant, forcing millions into the unknown as refugees.
After a 5-hour drive on one of the many unpaved roads that cross the Republic of South Sudan, I made it to Awariel.
Today, we delve into the 5 most severe refugee crises in our recent history, examining not only their scale and implications, but also the human stories behind the staggering statistics. These events underscore a harsh reality faced by many and remind us why comprehensive, compassionate responses are essential. The Syrian Civil War. A harrowing exodus. The Syrian Civil War, which began in 2011, has since evolved into an international conflict of staggering proportions. As entire cities turned into battlegrounds, civilians found themselves trapped in the crossfire, leading to one of the largest refugee crises in modern times. The United Nations Refugee Agency has reported that over 5.6 million Syrians have fled the country, seeking asylum across borders, with millions more displaced within their own homeland. But beyond these numbers lie individual tales of resilience and heartbreak. Take, for instance, the story of a young girl named Amira, who, with her family, embarked on a perilous journey to escape the relentless bombings in their hometown of Aleppo. Their odyssey towards safety led them through multiple refugee camps where scarcity and uncertainty became daily encounters. Amira's story is a testament to the enduring spirit of those who, in the face of unimaginable adversity, continue the search for a place to call home once again. The plight of the Rohingya, escaping persecution.
3 years ago, on August 25th, they escaped a brutal military crackdown. There were reports of killings, rapes, and arson carried out by the military.
Across continents, in the Southeast Asian nation of Myanmar, the Rohingya, a Muslim minority group, have faced systemic oppression and violence, escalating to what the United Nations has described as a textbook example of ethnic cleansing. The crackdown by Myanmar's military in 2017 pushed approximately 730,000 Rohingya over the border into Bangladesh. Here they remain in sprawling, densely populated refugee camps, such as the Kutupalong camp near Cox's Bazar, which has become a sanctuary for hundreds of thousands. The suffering of the Rohingya is particularly heartbreaking because their displacement is a consequence not just of conflict, but of a brutal campaign targeting them for their ethnicity and religion. Their struggle for recognition and rights persists, as do their aspirations for peace, dignity, and the ability to return to their homes safely. South Sudan's ongoing conflict, a country divided. As we turn our attention to Africa, South Sudan, the world's youngest nation, has also been marred by civil conflict since gaining independence in 2011. The internal strife here has created a relentless humanitarian crisis. Malnutrition, violence, and instability have forced more than 2.2 million people to flee the country, with 1.9 million internally displaced. These statistics, however daunting, only skim the surface of the crisis. Indeed, in South Sudan, the human cost of the conflict is often measured in the long treks to safety that countless families undertake, crossing rivers and harsh landscapes, frequently without adequate food or protection. The impact on the region has been profound, with neighboring countries, Uganda and Kenya, bearing much of the refugee burden.
Women and children with no money, clothes, or shelter.
This is what conditions are like for people living here, aid agencies and the government.
This regional upheaval has strained resources and underscored the urgency of finding durable solutions to the displacement. The Venezuelan migration crisis, seeking refuge from despair, shifting focus to Latin America, the once oil-rich nation of Venezuela finds itself in the throes of an unprecedented socio-economic freefall. Hyperinflation, shortages of basic necessities, and political turmoil have driven over 5.4 million Venezuelans to leave their country in search of stability and a future elsewhere. Countries like Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru have become major destinations for these migrants, many arriving with only the clothes on their backs. The stories from Venezuela painted a grim picture of families torn apart, young professionals giving up careers, and children growing up far from the only home they've ever known. Yet, they also speak to the tenacity of the human spirit. Venezuelans starting anew, building communities, and holding on to hope against all odds. Afghanistan's long history of displacement, enduring instability. Afghanistan's chronic state of conflict has led to multiple generations growing up as refugees. From the Soviet invasion in the 1980s to the recent sudden withdrawal of U.S. troops and the subsequent Taliban takeover, each new chapter of turmoil has prompted fresh waves of displacement. Currently, there are 2.6 million registered Afghan refugees, according to the UNHCR, with many more internally displaced.
Is it time for America to leave? President Donald Trump has been trying to strike a deal with the Taliban to reduce the amount of American troops in Afghanistan.
The impact of the Afghan refugee crisis is felt worldwide, with many seeking asylum in Europe, North America, and beyond. Their narratives often recount treacherous journeys, immense personal losses, and an unwavering determination to find a semblance of peace and normalcy. As the international community grapples with the best course of action, the immediate needs of Afghan refugees, protection, education, and livelihood opportunities remain paramount. The global response and its challenges. Take, for example, the Syrian refugee crisis, which has not only affected neighboring countries in the Middle East, but has also had far-reaching consequences in Europe, sparking debates over immigration, security, and national identity. The influx of refugees has prompted a spectrum of responses, from open-armed welcome in some nations to the fortification of borders in others. This disparate approach underscores the complexity and contentiousness of international refugee policy. Countries like Bangladesh have been lauded for their hospitality in the face of the Rohingya crisis, but the strain on resources is palpable. The sprawling refugee camps have become semi-permanent homes, with the Bangladeshi government and international agencies striving to provide basic services and some semblance of normalcy for the displaced population. Here, education for children who have lost years to conflict and healthcare, for those carrying the scars of violence, are of paramount concern. Your voice matters. We encourage you to add your voice to this critical discussion. Share your thoughts, and if you have personal experiences or insights on the refugee crisis, we invite your contributions in the comments below. By engaging in this dialogue, we move closer to understanding and addressing one of the most formidable challenges of our time. For those watching, we sincerely hope this insight has expanded your awareness of the refugee crises gripping our world. If you found value in our in-depth approach, give us a like to show your support. Remember, each interaction helps us continue this important conversation and reach a wider audience. As we aim to bring light to critical global issues, your participation is invaluable. Continue this journey with us by exploring more content on our channel, and let's together become the agents of change in a world that urgently needs it.